Hello everyone, welcome and welcome back to the Product Marketing Festival in APAC. With product marketing experts from Singapore, Australia, China mainland, Hong Kong, Malaysia, India, and many other regions. We'll be covering all product marketing aspects from sales enablement, go-to-market strategy, to customer onboarding, positioning, and messaging. We got them all. You are guaranteed to walk away with tons of new ideas and strategies to take your product to the next level. I would also like to take this chance to say a big thank you to all festival speakers. We cannot make this without you. Also, thanks for the support from iClick Interactive. Their presentation, Discover the Secret to Adapting Data-Driven Marketing in China, is scheduled at day 1 afternoon, 3:30 Singapore time. I highly recommend it if you have not signed up for it yet. Last but not the least, if you would like to interact with our speakers and other attendees, please join our group page link at the end. We look forward to the Q&A session and your feedback over there. Relax and enjoy the festival.
iClick Interactive's marketing technology platform is fueled by data. Our data helps to drive, connect, and enable every step of all marketing activities conducted on our platform. When marketing to China, the key challenge lies in the lack of quality and deployable data to start with. And this is where we come in to help. Every brand has its own target segment, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution. With our proprietary keyword-based audience identification engine, a unique solution among online marketing technology platforms in China, we help brands to move from rigid, predefined audience categories to intuitively defining their own custom target segments. The intelligence comes with in-depth audience knowledge in a multi-dimensional manner, from demographics and geographies to psychographics, giving brands meaningful understanding of their target segments on what they do, what they like, and what they care about. Brands can then readily size up their total accessible market opportunity and decide if it's right or big enough for them. And we don't just take a snapshot of these segments. We're capable of monitoring their changes over time, helping brands to drive the marketing funnel down from potential audiences and brand followers to website visitors and owned users. Brands can also benchmark specific product portfolio followers with actual sales to identify areas for growth. Getting to know your competitors is just as important as knowing your customers. Our platform allows brands to learn about their own position in the market as well as that of their competitors, helping brands to adjust their overall brand strategy. While the intelligence is good for decision-making purpose, brands can actually activate the data right away on the same platform via our massive media network in China, delivering messages to their target segments via the right channel, on the right device, at the right time. We also help brands conduct online-offline conversion by mapping their audience hotspots in the Chinese cities to develop data-driven, location-based retail strategy, intelligently converting online traffic to offline leads and realize smart online-offline integration. Having an accurate grasp of data intelligence is a vital first step to any successful marketing initiatives. With our ever-growing data capabilities, we look forward to empowering brands on their China-targeted marketing initiatives.
So in order to build a pricing roadmap, I need to share 2 basic pricing concepts with you. These are very important to master and understand so you can position yourself to ultimately drive the pricing roadmap. These will be the building blocks. First one is subscription has 3 key revenue buckets. And this is the meat of the pricing concepts. Very different than traditional businesses, which cared about winning customers. So Microsoft would sell that CD for PowerPoint and Word. We would download it and pay a big chunk of money. But in the subscription business, you're paying little chunks of money on a monthly basis, whatever that period is, to use something. And so it's a win-win here because for the customers, I don't have to outlay as much money and it's a low barrier to entry. If I don't like it, I'll just stop paying. For the companies, it's easy because you can really win a lot of customers, right? We see a lot of free models and so it's win-win. Now, keep. This is not something traditional businesses cared about. We care about in SaaS because we want to keep our customers. They can keep paying month after month. We really care about how they use it and if they're getting value. And this is why the customer success departments were born. They're there to make sure they keep using it. They keep paying us month after month, year after year. No one wants churn. Usage is really important of our tools. Before, Microsoft would sell me my CD and probably didn't care if I used it. And the last bucket is growing our customers. Now, this is where you're really in the money. People don't focus on this enough. And this is where you do upsell. This is where you do cross-sell. How do you expand on what your customer is doing so they can do more and pay more money with you to really grow your LTV? When you focus on this, this is where your revenues can skyrocket. And that's where growth comes from. It's in the expansion bucket. Now, an example here is Gmail. I got a free Gmail address, and I still use it. They really kept me as a customer for 15 years now. They keep adding additional features. They've added calendars, Google Sheets. They really kept me as a customer. But where they really got me is how I grow with them. I now use my Chromecast. I have my Nest security cam. I've got my Nest thermostat. I went from 1 security cam to 4 as, so I can keep track of all my kids. And they've really grown with me, and now I'm just throwing my money at them. If I look at work, we're a Google shop, we're giving them money. I mean, this is where Google is really in the money and why their stock price is doing so well. So every marketing tactic already focuses on one of these buckets, and you consider these. Pricing does as well. It's no different than what you're doing already. So the term you might have heard, what consultants call this, is acquisition, retention, and expansion. The easy way I like to remember is win, keep, and grow your customers. So these are all the same things when you hear them. So this is the beginnings of a basic yet important framework for your pricing roadmap. The last set of pricing concepts I want to cover is the continual development of the 4 pricing levers. Now this is where the real power comes into play. Price points. So this is, what do you charge? What's the discount? Promotions. Are you doing pricing segmentation? Is it value-based pricing? These are all things that you can answer. Market segments. What are the shared problems? This is what Pragmatic Institute calls it, and I really like it. If you've got a lot of the same problems and you've got the same problems, you guys are different segments. What product marketers are used to doing are calling it by industry, geography, title or role, size of company. It's basically clustering problems. Pricing metrics. This is, what do you charge for? What is your customer value? Are you B2B? Are you B2C? Talk to your customers. If they value a metric, that's your pricing metric, because that's what they care about. It's probably what they're thinking about when they think about ROI too. Some examples are users, data, email, message, API calls, interactions. There are so many different pricing metrics. There's not a finite number here. And then packaging. So you've heard of good, better, best. That's very common, and there's science behind why good, better, best works really well. That's another conversation. Options, where do you put new features? How do you cross-sell? How do you upsell? So all of these are very important, and they're very powerful. Picking your price point is like the Price is Right. People gamify it. You get your price point. People are buying it. It's working. You get that rush. It's so exciting. And you want to see that revenue come in month after month. But these 3 levers are more categorized as value levers. Each of these is a very powerful tool. You have to have every single one of them. And if you're not making a conscious decision, you've actually made an unconscious decision on how you're doing these, and so you're doing it already by default. So you have to use them, but you have to be extremely careful when you use them. As Cersei Lannister would say, when you play the game of levers, your revenue wins or dies. There is no middle ground. So you have to pull these really wisely. These levers are powerful strategies. And price points, while it's akin to The Price is Right, these levers, I compare it more to Game of Thrones, one of my other favorite shows. And those who know how to control these value levers control the 7 kingdoms, and they earn their seat in the Iron Throne. So these affect many different departments, like I talked about earlier, and they require internal strategy, coordination. They're huge projects within your company, and as you saw, they have a lot of reach that goes beyond that wall in the north into the northernmost areas of Westeros where the White Knights live. And they're always present. So when you go back to work tomorrow and you're sitting at your desk, I would actually think of all the different ideas that you have, think of your to-do list, and try to go and categorize it into these different areas. Because as we know, when you're creating, communicating, or capturing value, you're already making these decisions. And if you're not sitting down and thinking about what's actually going to happen when winter comes, then you've made the decision anyway. And it's an unintentional decision. And we all know that in the Game of Thrones, when people aren't thinking a couple of steps ahead, we remember the Red Wedding, where House Frey took revenge on House Stark. That was really tragic. We want to make sure that we're on top of all of this. So if you don't watch Game of Thrones, I want to put this in context. If you don't watch Game of Thrones, you should definitely watch it. But I would, and then come back and look at my presentation, but I would skip the last episode of the last season because you're better off left hanging, having exciting what-if scenarios go through your head for the rest of your life than for the rest of us, because we can't unsee what we saw. So for the people that didn't see Game of Thrones, the takeaway here is that in Game of Thrones, it's all about power, having the right strategy, knowing when to pull it, when to play it. And with that, you can gain a lot of power, and the power here is revenue within our companies. And each one is really complicated, but the more you exercise your brain and the more you think about it, the easier it becomes, the better you are at this to grow revenue at your companies, grow your growth rates, grow your profits, and even grow your career. All right, so how do we take all of this and execute on it? Your pricing roadmap organizes these pricing concepts. This is a standard swim lane. I use it for our go-to-market. We can use it in a pricing roadmap. So you've got your revenue buckets, which is win, keep, and grow, acquisition, retention, and expansion. So you can always think about it. Then you layer on your pricing levers. And the pricing levers apply to each of those buckets. And then you can put in dates. I would say initially don't put in any dates into your pricing roadmap. Keep that blank. Just start putting in details. As you hear different ideas at work, as you're talking to somebody else, look at your to-do list, what you're already doing for product marketing, start putting them in here and see where it shakes out. The reason why I have it like this is you usually start with win and acquisition for smaller companies. You need customers first. It goes in this order. Then you start retaining and keeping them, and then you want to grow them. I've only got one there because people tend to forget about grow. You're not doing everything all at once over time, but you kind of figure out what your cadence is for your company. This is important because when I was at Responses in Oracle for our mobile strategy, I would kind of just riff on different ideas of pricing and packaging strategies. And there was a time where Safra looked at the margins for one of our products, and she did not like the margins. It wasn't profitable enough. I didn't know this was happening. Then I went to Thomas Kurian. There were emails. Anyways, that email eventually ended up in my inbox, and I looked at it, and it was, we're going to get rid of this product. It's not making enough money for Oracle. And I looked at that. And my product marketing side said, we're not getting rid of this product. This is part of our core messaging. It's part of our positioning. It's our differentiator when it comes to the marketplace. This is what our customers want. Our users want it. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go to competitors. Red flags were going up all over the place. And I was thinking about it, and I remembered, I'm like, wait, I had some ideas. I remember I was concerned about profitability for this one product line. A year ago, I was in Vegas talking to one of our mobile specialists, and I pulled up those notes, and I was like, okay, I have an idea here. I remember the senior executives were in a meeting talking about this very topic. I fired off an email. I'm like, I got some ideas. We need to meet. So he runs out of his meeting. I run down there. I'm doing some numbers in my head, and within 15 minutes, I'm talking to a senior executive, telling him why, putting on my product marketing hat. This is why we can't get rid of it, but here are some ideas. And I'm going to need to get on the product roadmap. I need to work with engineers, blah, 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 blah. He approved it. It took us a year to get it together. I worked with product managers. I worked with engineering. We got that project off. And it went from something that Safra wanted to get rid of because she didn't like the margins to something becoming profitable. It became a differentiator. The product manager and the engineers I worked with filed for a couple of patents. And it just became, and it hit the news press. And now I'm not at Oracle anymore, but I look back and I see, and I smile. I'm like, you know what? As a product marketer, I got involved. I influenced the roadmap. I influenced profitability because we already have the skill sets as product marketers on how to position and when to know to keep a product or get rid of it. But now you layer in pricing and packaging and knowing how it hits the bottom line and revenues, and you become a very powerful product marketer. And so this is what I use to get cross-collaboration, how I crowdsource ideas. I mean, a lot of my ideas don't just come from me. I talk to different people. I talk to my coworkers. I talk to specialists. And when you know pricing and packaging fundamentals, it just sparks different ideas. And the hardest problems that you have are an opportunity for you, because in the mobile space, it's very complex. And because of that, I knew our competitors probably couldn't figure this out. And when we figured it out, we became a differentiator. I know Joel from Looker, I don't know if he's here, he's got a really complex pricing problem that he's trying to figure out. That is an opportunity to get extra creative, be better than your competitors, and then really be a differentiator of your company. Those are the projects that I find really exciting. So then you take this, and let's say they want to sign off on your idea. Create a detailed plan to get sign off, because it's so cross-functional. You do have to go to different executives, different partners, and you can do different versions of this. You know, I really tweaked this over the years. This is an example of focusing on acquisition or winning customers. I took out a lot of our details, and I just put in some generic questions in here, so you can use it as a framework. I've used this to focus on retention. I've used it to focus on growth. But you lay everything out. And you put a timeline to it to say, what do we want to do? So you can start coordinating all the different functions within your company. And you can take action. Now, do it by month. This can be, by quarter, by year. Pick whatever time frame that you want. Okay, so let's revisit this one more time, because I do have time. So I'm going to share a bonus pricing concept with you as expansion. I talked a lot about people always overlook this. But when you get expansion right, those are the companies that are on the path to IPO. The IPO, get acquired, that have these huge valuations. Like, this is where the money starts falling into the bucket. And companies that are in hypergrowth phase then go to 100 million, a billion. This is what a lot of people are calling monetization. That's a very popular term right now. This is what we're talking about. And so when we're growing customer revenue, there were really 4 different areas. One is to raise prices. So Apple raised prices nearly across all their product lines last year. Some of the best products, the prices were raised by 20%. Cross-selling. So I keep upgrading my new phone as new versions come up. So I'm getting cross-sold. I keep upgrading to the iPhone, the iPad. I've got my iWatch on. I've got every iProduct they put out. Every time they put something out, I'm buying it. And so I'm getting cross-sold here. Upselling. Upselling is when I keep upgrading my phone. They keep putting out new versions. And so I don't want my phone starts getting old. I want the new one. So we got to upgrade our customers. They keep spending money with us. Increasing usage. So on my phone, because I love taking so many photos and videos of my kids, I keep upgrading my storage plans with my Apple phone as well. And so these are really the only 4 ways, and I've debated this with many people, and if anyone can think of a 5th way, please hunt me down. Let's talk about it, because there are many times I thought I had a 5th way, and then I realized I didn't. These are really the 4 only ways that you can grow customer revenue. So get as creative as you want, but it's probably going to fall into one of these 4 buckets. And what does this mean? Is this actually increases LTV. And LTV is so important because it's about lifetime value. It represents the total revenues your customers will spend with you in their entire lifetime. I am 15 years strong with Gmail. If you look at Google and Apple, I've just been with them for so long. LTV is a very important SaaS metric. A high LTV drives how much money you can spend to acquire new customers. You don't want the cost of acquiring your company to ever be more than your LTV. And understanding pricing increases the LTV not only for your company revenues, for your growth rates, but also for your career. So it's time to go out there and make sure your pricing is right. Thanks.